Hello everybody. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into this week's discussion board. So justice in rural communities could look like several different things depending on the needs of the community and the history they have walked through. The justice issue that I have decided to take a focus on falls into the category of social justice, and that is discrimination. So this is one that I have not thought much of and never really took into consideration when thinking about the rural community. And this goes from derogatory terms to overlooking the needs of the community, and on to displaying judgments against them for what is considered their normal mannerisms. So Daly discusses that because of how common it is to use derogatory terms for this community, it is often overlooked as being a form of discrimination. Daly gives examples of these derogatory terms used to describe real people, and they are listed on page 305. And they include hick, yokel, bumpkin, hayseed, hillbilly, yahoo, redneck, country boy, country girl, rube, backwoods, or corn-fed. And then Daly went on to explain that these names are used to convey the message that these people are uneducated and lack common etiquette, meaning they're not smart and that they have no everyday manners. And sadly enough, this misconception has been viewed and justified by the people using these terms, and oftentimes people use these terms not seeing any issues with them. So not only do they face verbal discrimination, but they also are often overlooked by the government and politicians. And this is greatly due to them making up a smaller number of the overall population. So they are actually considered a minority group, which I found really interesting. So this means that issues like healthcare, poverty, and food insecurities are never fully addressed in these smaller communities, just because there's not as many people living there. And then this is also partially because the rural community believes in taking care of their own, and they really hate to ask for help. Daly provides an example on page 305 of how rural discrimination might affect an individual, even if that individual so chooses to move to the urban areas. And he discusses about Vance to 2016. So in this kind of the story, it's his family roots were rural, but he grew up in an urban area. He essentially grew up rural, and this led to issues of knowing and understanding urban culture. So it was after college that he learned that he needed help with dressing appropriately for urban life, answering interview questions appropriately, and overall learning urban etiquette. So things that maybe were never really taught to him, or he was overlooked because of some of those rural roots that really kind of showed through. Now, why is this an issue that should spark the interest of any social worker, especially a Christian social worker? In the book by Price et al., it is discussed that as Christians, it is our job and responsibility to stand up against social injustice and to fight for our clients by standing with them. This call has been clear to the church, but Price et al. Actually takes it a step forward by calling out social workers on page 127 by stating, how social workers develop helping relationships with clients who are poor can be complicated by by workers' desire to save the poor, rather than stand in solidarity with them to try to change the systems and structures that often create clients' impoverished conditions. So basically, this simply means that instead of simply getting clients connected to services, let's actually work towards changing the system that got them into the position to need the system. But then we go further and ask the question, how might I as a social worker address such an issue and work towards changing the system that created impoverished clients? And Daly reports that this is not an easy task to accomplish, as people in power want to stay in power and may fail to see past their own personal beliefs. So oftentimes politicians will kind of keep the same thing going. They may not be willing to change their things and their thinking patterns. In a rural community, they may continue to support leaders that aren't necessarily fighting for them, just because it's been kind of their way of life. And then also, like I said, the community might fail to actually see that they're being treated unjustly. Now, I believe the first step is going to be really providing awareness to this community, letting them know that there is a better way, right? And that having food insecurity and health issues that aren't being addressed isn't fair, and that there are things that we can do and kind of give voice to those people. So creating that awareness and then educating the community and building trust could give the local social worker in that area the voice to really help the community fight against the discrimination that they have faced for so long, especially those that are living in impoverished situations with food insecurities, opioid addictions, and things like that. Thank you.